Hello students, today we are going to discuss the physics paper for this NEET grand test. Okay, so are you guys ready? Let's move on to our first question of this paper. The question says that there is a weight mg which is suspended from a spring, right? So if you draw the free body diagram, you can see that this is the block over here having a mass m. This one is mg. X is the extension, and let's say that this is at the equilibrium position. So we know that Kx will be equal to mg, right? What question is saying that the energy stored in the spring at equilibrium is capital U. So at this point, capital U is the energy stored in the spring. So can we write U as half kx square? And x square can be split like this. Let's write down this kx term using my first equation. Kx is equal to mg, and from here we can say that x is 2u divided by mg, right? So for this, your first option is the correct answer. Okay, let's move on to our next question. So this question is from thermodynamics. We need to calculate the work done for the adiabatic process, right? We know the formula for the work done is W equal to minus delta U. This I'm directly writing from first law of thermodynamics. For adiabatic process, Q is 0. This can be written as minus N CV delta T, right? So W has a direct dependency on this delta T term, right? Although there will be some dependency on pressure and volume as well, but when we are talking about the direct dependency, it is always the change in the temperature. Okay, we can see that the fourth option matches, so that is your correct answer. All right, let's move on to our next question. This is the question from semiconductor chapter and from the logic gate part. Okay, so the question says that A and B are the two input wave, C is the output wave. What we need to do is draw its truth table and identify what type of gate is this. All right. So when we see over here, this point corresponds to 0 and this point corresponds to 1. Similarly, over here, this is 0 and this is 1, and same for C. So for A, the first line is coming over here, which is at the 0 level. So we'll mark over here 0. For the B, again it is 0, and for the output, we are getting 0, right? I hope you have understood how we are writing it. Let's move on to the next step. A corresponds to 1, B also corresponds to 1, and C also corresponds to 1. Let's move on to the next step. In the next step, you can see that A corresponds to 0 and B corresponds to 1 over here, and the C is again 0. For the fourth step, here A corresponds to 1, B is 0 and C is 0. A is 1, B is 0 and C is 0, right? For the C, we are getting 1 only when both are 1. It means this corresponds to the AND gate, right? So your option 2 will be your correct answer. Let's move on to our next question. Here we have two intensities, I1 and I2. We want to calculate, so we want to find out the phase difference between the resultant intensities at point A and B. At A and B, we know what are the phase differences. We need to figure out a formula which can give us the total intensity. So the total intensity I net will be equal to I1 plus I2 plus 2 root over I1 into I2 times cos of change in the phase. So when we are talking about point A, we will get the I net, let's call it IA, is equal to I1 and I2 we can put from this equation. So we are putting this I1 and I2 values over here, and then we have this 2 times of root I multiplied by root of 4i, and the phase difference is pi by 2. So cos pi by 2 value is equal to 0. So this term will vanish and we will get Ia as 5 phi. Similarly, let us try to calculate for point B. So intensity at point B can be written as I plus 4I plus 2 times root I, again root 4I, and here we need to put the phase angle as 2 pi. So the value of cos 2 pi will come out to be equal to 1. So this is I plus 4I, 5I, and 4I, so this will give us 9I, right? If I take the difference of this and this in the absolute terms, I am going to get the value 4I. So option 4th will be your right answer. Okay. Let's move ahead to our next question. So the question says in the statement 1 that an electric dipole is placed at the center of a hollow sphere. So here we have a hollow sphere. There is an electric dipole at the center of the hollow sphere. Okay. The flux of electric field through the sphere is 0, right? So when we calculate the flux as per Gauss theorem, we can say that flux is equal to Q enclosed divided by epsilon naught. Now a dipole is made up of minus Q and plus Q pair of charge. If I want to calculate Q enclosed, the total charge, the Q enclosed is going to be 0 over here, right? But what about the electric field at these points? So electric field is never equal to 0. Some or the other value of electric field will come out. We know the formulas for the electric field at a general term, it is never equal to 0, right? So the statement 1 is a true statement. Okay. And if we'll move to our statement number 2, it says that R is the radius of a solid metallic sphere. So here we have a solid metallic sphere and Q is the total charge on it. So total charge Q is uniformly distributed over the surface of the sphere, right? The electric field at any point on the spherical surface of radius small r, where small r is less than capital R. What question is saying that we have to, from the center, take a Gaussian surface, and the radius of this Gaussian surface is small r, right? If I want to calculate how much is the flux which is crossing over here, same formula, Q enclosed by epsilon naught, and we know that for a metallic body, the charge always goes out on the outer surface, hence there is no charge in this cavity. In this particular region, you can say Q enclosed is 0 and phi is also equal to 0. Since there is no charge over here, the electric field inside is also equal to 0, right? As per the statement 2, the electric field at any point is 0. So this part is correct, but the electric flux passing through this is not 0. This is wrong. Actually, this is also equal to 0, right? So statement 1 is a true statement, whereas the statement 2 is a false statement. We are going to get second one as our correct answer. I hope this question is understood. Let's move on to our next question. All right. This question says that there's an object which is falling from the bridge. So let us suppose this is the object, okay? And it's falling, it means initial speed is equal to 0. And it is at a height of 45 meter from the water surface. Now, there is a boat over here. There is a boat over here which is at a distance of 12 meter away at t equal to 0. So this is the location of the object and this is the location of the boat at t equal to 0, right? The speed of this boat u is in such a way that the time when the object comes over here, the boat also comes over here and the boat catches the ball, right? It means that First of all, I need to calculate how much time is taken by the ball to reach at this point. Okay, so we know that the formula for the following body is h is equal to half gt square. Height is given to us 45. Value of g is 10. So from here we'll get t is 3 seconds. Okay, and here I need to calculate the speed. Speed can be given as distance upon time. It will come out to be 4 meter per second, right? So the 3 second ball is coming over here, and in the 3 second duration, the board will also reach over here. Okay. So yes, option 3 is going to be the correct answer. Let's move on to our next question. This is the application of equation of continuity, right? So what is the equation of continuity? That is that area multiplied by the velocity should come out to be constant. This is nothing but the conservation of mass. Over here, we have the area equal to 2a multiplied by the velocity is 4, and it is branching out into two parts. In the first part, I need to take area as a by 2 and the speed is 4. And in the second part, I need to take area as a and the velocity is v, which is unknown, which I want to calculate, right? So 4 into 2 will come out to be 8. Let's bring this term over here, and there will be a minus 2 here. Capital A have cancelled out. V will come out to be equal to 6. Yeah, so option 2 is our correct answer. Let's move forward to our next question. So question is saying that the distance between the two charges is decreased. Question is not telling me that these two charges are like charges or unlike charges. Case number 1. Let us suppose this is minus q and this is plus q. Okay. Distance between them is r. What is the formula of u which I am going to use? Minus of k q square divided by r. And if both the charges are of same charge signs, let's say this is also plus q or this is plus q, in that case I am going to use the formula kq square by r. I have to decrease the distance between the charges. In this scenario, let's say in this scenario, if I decrease the value of r, then this overall value, apart from the sign, this overall value is going to increase, and because there is a plus sign, u also has to increase. In this scenario, since I am decreasing the value of r, this portion is going to increase, but because of negative sign, the total value of u is going to decrease. Okay, depending on whether the charges were like charges like this or unlike charges like that. U can decrease, it may also increase, right? So yeah, option 3 could be our correct answer. Okay, let's go ahead to our next question. So here the question says that there is a spherical solid ball. Let me draw a ball over here. The volume is given capital V, and it is made of a material having a density ρ1. Now it is falling through a liquid, so there is a surrounding liquid. The surrounding liquid has a density of ρ2. The value of ρ1 is higher, and hence I can say that effectively it's going down. So on it, gravity is acting, buoyancy is acting in the upward direction, and a viscous force should also act in the upward direction. Eventually, when it will reach to the terminal speed, the net acceleration of this body will become 0, and it will move downward with a constant speed. That speed is called as terminal speed. We have to make acceleration equal to 0. So how we are going to do it? We are going to balance the forces. We are going to write that mg is equal to b plus f. Now let us write down the expression for the mass. Mass is density multiplied by volume. But which density? This m belongs to the object. So density of the object I need to use ρ1 into v times g. What about the buoyant force? buoyant force, in the formula we get the density ρ2, which is the surrounding medium, multiplied by V into G. And what about the force F, right? It's not Stokes' law. We cannot put F as 6 pi r eta V. For that, the question has given F is equal to minus kV square. Minus sign indicates direction. Direction we have already taken into consideration. Let's directly put kV square. Alright. So from here we can calculate the value of velocity, a square root sign. Okay. And this will be ρ1 minus ρ2. Vg we can take common and small k will go in the denominator. And that's how we can write down the velocity. So yeah, option 4 will be the correct match. I hope this question is clear. Let's go ahead and look at another question, and this is from units and measurement. Okay, let's see what the question says. Simple pendulum. Formula is already, we know what the formula is, right? They are saying that length of the pendulum here is 10 centimeter, where the error it can give is 1 millimeter, right? That is the least count of that instrument. Now, after doing 200 oscillation, the total time for 200 oscillation is given to us 100 seconds, and in that 200 oscillation only, the least count, the resolution of the time is 1 second. We need to find the percentage accuracy in the determination of the G. Let's rewrite the formula. Okay, transpose all the values, do the squaring both sides. We are going to get G as 4 pi square L divided by T square, right? So from here we can write down that delta G by G is equal to 4 pi square. It's constant, we can just leave it out. Small l can be written as delta L by L plus 2 times delta T by T. And since we are interested in percentage, let's multiply 100 both sides, and this value will come out in percentage. Let's see the value placement. Delta L we will put here 1 millimeter, and this is 10 centimeter. So let's better write it down 1 mm as 0.1 centimeter, and this is 10 centimeter. 2 times delta T. So I am taking my base as 200 oscillation. So for 200 oscillation, that total time period came out to be 100 with 1 second of resolution. Let's simplify this. This will give 1 and 2. So 2 plus 1 will give you 3%. Second option will be our right answer. Okay. Let's move on to our next question. So there is a particle of mass m moving towards a smooth vertical wall. So it's moving towards a wall. Here we have a wall, okay, and it's a smooth wall. The particle is traveling with a speed small u relative to the ground, and then it collides elastically. I have to take coefficient of restitution as 1. The wall is moving towards the particle with a speed 2u. This is also with respect to the ground, assuming that the wall is extremely massive, right? So when the wall is extremely massive, we can, with our common sense, it can also be derived from conservation of momentum, but we can say that if the wall is massive, after the collision, there will be no change in the velocity of the massive body. Rather, this smaller body will be rebounded with some velocity v. Okay, this is my final velocity v. I want to calculate the impulse delivered to this particle. Impulse is nothing but the change in the momentum. Let me first try to calculate this velocity v, right? E is given as 1. We know that the formula for E we can write down like this. Let me give you a direction. Let's say this direction is a positive direction, okay? Let's try to put the values over here. So the velocity of the particle 2 after collision, let's say this is particle 1 and this is particle 2, particle 1 and particle 2, okay? So V2 after the collision, we can write down this as plus 2u. V1 after the collision we need to calculate. Before collision, the first particle has a speed of u which is in negative direction, so I'll put here minus u, and this u2, the wall speed initially was 2u in this direction. Okay, so this is minus 3u over here. Let me do the calculation very quickly, and from here we can get v as 5u, right? Ultimately I wanted to calculate the impulse. Let's do the calculation over here. Impulse is what? Impulse is equal to change in the momentum, that is mass of this particle multiplied by final velocity minus initial velocity. The final velocity is v, positive direction. In the positive direction I can write on here 5u, and initially it was minus u. Okay, here this will be minus u, so minus and minus will come out to be as plus m times 6u. 6mu should be your answer. So yes, second option is correct. Okay, next we have this question from the ray optics. Okay, so there is a fish in the tank. Fish is moving with the speed of 4 towards the mirror. The refractive index of this water is mu equal to 2 given to us. There is an observer over here. Observer is at rest, and this side we have the mirror. Mirror is going in this direction with the speed of 1. Okay. So first of all, let us try to draw a diagram in which the water is not there. So to convert this situation into corresponding or respective drawing into air, what I need to do is I need to convert this velocity. Okay. So for this velocity, you can say that v dash is going to be this velocity v divided by mu. From where this is coming? This is coming from the concept of real and apparent depth. Okay, we know that apparent is equal to real depth divided by mu. So I have differentiated to get the velocity. Okay, v dash I want to calculate, and what is v? V is equal to 4, mu is 2, the speed is 2. So what I have done effectively, now I have a object over here which is the fish going this way with the speed of 2. Everything is air now, there is no water. Here is the observer, here is the mirror. Mirror is also going in this direction with the speed of 1 meter per second, and this was 2 meter per second. I want to calculate what is the velocity of the image in the mirror, right? So VIM, that is velocity of the image with respect to mirror, should be written as the velocity of the object with respect to the mirror. Okay, so velocity of the image Vi I want to calculate. I am going to write here Vi minus Vm. Vi minus Vm. Vm I am going to write, let me take this as positive direction, so I am going to write here plus 1. Negative sign as it is. Velocity of the object is plus 2 I need to put here. So let's put velocity object as plus 2. And then the speed of the mirror again I need to put as plus 1 over here. So from this I can get my answer as, hey, I'm getting 0 as my answer, right? It means what? It means that the observer is going to see that fish is standing still. The image of that fish in the mirror is standing still. That's what mathematics is telling us. Option 1 is our correct answer. Okay, let's move on to our next question now. Okay. Question says that there is a charged particle which is moving in a circular path in a uniform magnetic field. Okay. So if there is a charged particle which is moving in a circular path, then the radius r, we know it is given as r equal to mv by qb. Okay, and let us say this is the charge q over here. The first part A says we need to find current due to the motion of this charged particle. How to calculate that? Current is equal to charge divided by time period. Time period means the one revolution time taken. Time period can be written as 2 pi r divided by v. Let us put the expression of r over here. So after putting, we are going to get q square, okay, and v is going to get cancelled out. Like this. It means that current is independent of the velocity. Do we have any option like that? For the A, third one is matching, okay. So this could be my answer, this could be my answer. Let's try to find the magnetic moment. Magnetic moment is basically equal to NIA, where N is number of turn. I'm only considering one turn. How much is the current expression? In the current expression, V is independent to 0. So instead of equality, let's write down a proportional sign over here. What about the area? Area is pi r square, where r can be written as mv by qb. So from here, I'm getting the proportionality of v square. So B should match with 2, right? So straight away I can say my option 1 is the correct answer. But for the love of physics, let us also try to solve the C1. I need to find the magnetic field at the center of the circle. We know that the formula B is mu naught I divided by 2R. R can be written as mv by qb. So here I am getting proportionality as -1. So none of them was over here. So that's why it matches with the fourth one. Okay. That's your answer. Let's move on to our next question. Again, there is a matrix match question, and this question is from the electrostatic potential, where we have some concentric shells available over here, right? So the question says that there are 3 shells, radius r, 2r and 3r, and the middle one is grounded, as I can see from the drawing. And what about the charges on the shell? Are there any initial charges? Shell B is earthed, A and C are given charges, Q and 2Q. Okay. This is this is shell A, which has a charge Q. This is my second shell. This is my third shell. The third shell has total charge 2Q, right? And now we have also grounded it. So how the distribution of charge will happen? If this is Q, over here minus Q charge will appear. If here is minus Q, I don't know how much charge is available over here. Let's call it X. If here it is X, then minus X should appear on this side. And because the total charge should be 2Q, hence over here it should be 2Q plus X. Okay. Another information that we have is that this shell was grounded. It means that the total potential of shell B was 0. Now let us try to calculate it. At shell B, the potential is coming from 3 different pieces. The first piece is coming from shell A. For that, I am going to write down the equation of the potential, that is KQ divided by 2R. This is the contribution because of shell A. The contribution of shell B itself is going to be total charge minus Q plus X, and K is here divided by 2R. And the total contribution over here, the total charge is 2Q. That will come out to be as K2Q divided by 3R, and that is equal to 0, right? Let us try to solve this one and calculate the value of X. So KQ by 2R and minus KQ by 2R getting cancelled out. Then we have here X divided by 2, and over there we have minus 2Q divided by 3R. Remaining terms have cancelled out. I am getting X equal to minus 4Q upon 3r. Okay, so let us see. As per the drawing over here, this is my charge Q1. Q1 corresponds to minus Q. Q1 should corresponds to minus Q over here. So for the first, D is matching. Okay, this is the match and this is the match. The second one, Q2, means X value. X is minus 4Q by 3R. Minus 4Q by, I'm sorry, when I'm cancel out, okay, so R will also get cancelled out from here. It will be just minus 4Q by 3. Hence, for the second, the C should match. Okay, here's a tie. Then for the third one, means this one, it should be minus X plus 4Q by 3. It should be B. For the second, it should be B. So clearly, option 2 is my winner. But we'll also try to see what Q4 is. Q4, it is 2Q plus X. Let me write down here 2Q and plus X. X is minus 4Q by 3. 3 to the 6 minus 4 will give you 2Q by 3. Do we have 2Q by 3? Yeah. For the fourth, we have A. Second option is our correct answer. Okay. Let's move ahead to our next question. Statement 1 and 2, we need to identify which is true and which is false. Statement 1, electromagnetic waves are not deflected by electric and magnetic field. Okay. Electromagnetic waves means photons. There is no charge over it. Hence, there will be no interaction with this electric and magnetic field. Statement 1 is a true statement. Statement 2 says whether this relation is true or not. This relation is not true. E is equal to C into B, where C is the speed of light written by 1 by root over mu naught epsilon naught times B naught, right? Hence, this is true, this is false. True and false. So first option is going to be our correct answer. Let's move ahead to our next question. This question from ray optics. The question says that the distance between object and the 3 times magnified virtual image. Okay, so first hint, image is virtual, and we are talking about mirror. Okay, and it is magnified. When it happens, it only happens for a concave mirror. Okay, so this is the pole, and this is the focus, and this is the center of curvature. Okay, if I keep the object between focus and the pole, the image formation happens over here, which is a magnified image, and it's a virtual image. Okay, the question is saying that the image is 3 times bigger. So what I can do is, if this distance is x, I can directly say this distance should be 3x, because you know hi by ho equal to minus v by u. So from there I am going to write down like that, right? And what is this 20 centimeter? Let's read the question carefully. The distance between object and the image is 20. It means that the value of x plus 3x, okay, distance total is 20, and that will give me the value of x as 5 centimeter. I need to calculate the focal length. Let us apply the mirror formula. 1 by f is equal to 1 by v. V I am going to put as 3x. 3 into 5 I am going to put 15 plus 1 by u. As sign convention I need to write minus x, so minus 5. Okay, so this will be 15 and that will come out to be as minus 2. So f will be equal to minus of 7.5. The mirror is concave, that's why we are getting a negative focal length. Third is your correct answer. Let's move ahead to our next question. Alright, we need to calculate the C equivalent for these 3 drawings. Let's do the calculation here. They are in series. If they are in series, we need to, so whenever series connection is there, we need to apply the formula C1 into C2 divided by C1 plus C2, and whenever there is a parallel, we need to apply C1 plus C2. Okay. So this portion over here, because they are connected in series, their equivalent will be C by 2. For this one also it will be C by 2, and then C by 2 and C by 2, they are in parallel, it will be total C. But another C is available over here. So C and C will come out to be a C by 2. So the equivalent C between A, B is C by 2. Okay. Let's calculate about this one. Both are in series. We can write down this as C by 2, and then we have C, and the bottom one is again C by 2, right? Let's add these three values. We are going to get 2C. Now the next one, okay? This is a classic Wheatstone bridge. We can just ignore the middle line, and then we can say for this C and this C, the upper branch will give C by 2, the lower will C by 2, and the both will together give C. So for EF, the value is going to be C. CD is highest and AB is lowest. So option 2 will be your correct answer. Okay. Let's move ahead to our next question. All right. So here we have a rod which is falling about the hinge point O. Okay. Magnetic field is into the page. I need to find when the rod reaches at this angle theta, how much is the total EMF generated over here, right? So what I need to calculate is that, first of all, what is the angular velocity at this point of time? Okay. So that angular velocity I can calculate using the conservation of mechanical energy. This is the midpoint, and here is the midpoint. Okay, let me take a darker color. So the midpoint is following this trajectory, and finally it reaches at this. We know that this length is L by 2. Hence, what can I say about this height? I can say that height is going to be L by 2 sine theta. So the center of mass has fallen by L by 2 sine theta. Hence I can say that the loss in the potential energy, which is mg L by 2 sine theta, is equal to the gain in the rotational kinetic energy. Okay. So I need to take about the point O. So I will be about point O, m L square by 3 I into omega square. This is the rotational kinetic energy. Okay. So from here I can very clearly see the function of omega. So omega in the proportionality, if I'll observe, I'm going to get root sine theta in the numerator. One L will get cancelled out, this will come here. So another root L I'll get in the denominator. That is regarding the omega, and other constant terms will come as it is. Now I want to calculate the EMF. So what I have to do is, about point O, if I see, take this rod, okay, go at a distance of x, consider one element over here. Let's say the length of this element is dx. This dx element is moving, or it's having a velocity in this direction along the tangent, and that velocity v is equal to omega into r means this length x. So the smaller potential difference dE, which is across this element, can be written as b into v into this length L. Okay, I'm using that formula BVL to calculate the EMF, but I need to integrate this from 0 to L. So after integrating, b as it is, omega will also come out of the integration sign. Integration of x is x square by 2. After putting limit, you will get L square by 2. Okay. Alright. Now we have this omega, and I'm going to plug this value of omega inside the EMF. So EMF E will be equal to, for omega you will get here root of sine theta proportionality. In the denominator you have L power half, and here you have L2, and root sine theta will come as it is, and this will come out to be as L power 3 by 2. Okay, and these are not equalities, these are proportionalities only. Okay, so L power 3 by 2, this is not true, this is not true, it is actually root sine theta. So option 4th is the only correct answer in this particular question. Okay, I hope it is understood. Let's move forward to our next question. The question says that in the atom, when the electron is going from a ground state to some higher state, so electron is jumping like this, what will happen to these energies? Okay, so very simple. We know here now that for the hydrogen atom, for example, this energy is minus 13.6 electron volt. And as we go out, somewhere in the infinity, how much will be the total energy? 0, right? This is the ground state, lower energy, higher orbitals, higher energy. So total energy is increasing when I am going up. So total energy increases. Okay, that's how we'll think about total energy. Let's think about the kinetic energy. We know that kinetic energy formula in general is half mv square, and we also know that the v, or the velocity of that electron, can be written as v naught into z by n and this whole square thing, right? So from here I can see that as the value of n is increasing, the value of k is decreasing, so kinetic energy decreases. Okay, what about the potential energy? How to see? In the potential energy, the charge on the nuclei is plus Ze, and the charge on the electron is minus c, and divided by distance r. This type of question already came. So we know that there is a opposite charges, unlike charges are there. R is increasing. Okay, so magnitude wise U should decrease, but because of this minus sign, I have to say that potential energy is also increasing. Let's check. Potential increases, kinetic decreases, and total increases. All these statements are correct. Fourth option will be our correct key. Let's go ahead to our next question. Which of the following statements is incorrect? Okay, let's see. Rough surfaces are better radiators than smooth surface. So if there is a rough surface like this, if there is a rough surface, its absorptivity is going to be very high and reflectivity is going to be very low. Okay, it's rough, reflection is not so great, but absorptivity is going to be high. And as per the Kirchhoff law, if absorptivity is high, it means that its emissivity is also high. So good absorbers are also good emitters, right? Okay. So rough surfaces are better radiator. Radiator or emitter, same thing. Yes, this is a true statement. Moving forward, highly polished mirror. So if there's a highly polished mirror, whatever light is coming, it's getting reflected back. It means its reflectivity is 100%. So how much is its absorptivity? Very less, almost 0%. If absorptivity is almost 0%, it means its emissivity is also 0%. Hence, they are not good, they are bad radiators. Okay. So this second statement is going to be my false statement. I wanted to find the false statement. Second option is going to be my correct answer. Let's quickly check the 3 and 4. Same logic is applied. Black surface means they are going to absorb a lot of things, a lot of radiations in the electromagnetic spectrum. Hence, they are black in color. Okay. So because their absorptivity is high than white, we can directly say the third one is a true statement. Black surfaces are better radiator. Of course, if their absorptivity is high, their emissivity is also high. Fourth one is also true. Only the second statement is a false statement. Okay. I hope this is clear. Let's go on to our next question. So here we have A and B, two different materials. This is A and this is B. Their work functions are W and 2W. Light of same frequency and the same intensity is falling on both of them. Okay. So kinetic energy emit of the photoelectron Ka max can be written as the energy which is incoming minus the work function. For the B, I can write down the energy which is incoming minus the work function. Here the work function is 2W. Okay. The ratio of Ka and Kb is given to me. Let's write down. Ka divided by Kb is given as 3 by 1. So this divided by this will come out to be E minus W upon E minus 2W. Okay, let's quickly solve this. 3E minus 6W is going to be E minus W, right? So this is 2E and that is 5W. One relation we have. What's next? Find maximum kinetic energy for the A, means Ka I need to calculate. So Ka is E minus W. E I already know from here. E can be written as 5W by 2. 3W by 2 is going to be my answer. Fourth option is the correct one. I hope this is clear. Let's move ahead then. Okay. So this question says that there's a 4 kg block on a table. Let me draw a 4 kg block. This is on a table. Okay. The table is rough. We are applying 24 Newton in this direction. And the block slides through a distance of 36. So the displacement of the block is 36 in the time interval of 6, right? So can I calculate using this the acceleration of the body? Let me say S equal to half a t square, 36, half a I want to find t square, 6 square is 36. From here I am getting acceleration is 2. So the net acceleration of this body is equal to 2. I want to find the coefficient of friction. So friction will be kinetic in nature. Its formula will be mu into mg, right? So how much is the mass? 4 kg. So mg is 40. Mu into 40 is the kinetic friction. So now I can write down 24 minus mu times 40 is equal to mass into acceleration. So 4 into 2 is 8. So mu is 24 minus 8, 16 divided by 40. 0.4 will be the answer. Okay, let's see. Third option. Yeah, third option is the correct answer. Cool. Let's move forward. So now we have a thin uniform disc and it is pivoted at the highest point O like this. Okay, and that axis is perpendicular to the board. And about this axis, it want to oscillate like this. Okay. I want to calculate the time period. This is the hinge point. This is the hinge point. This is the center of mass C. The distance between them is obviously the radius. We have the formula to calculate the time period of physical bodies, right? So for the physical pendulum, time period formula I am going to apply here. T equal to 2 pi root over I divided by mgh, where h is the distance between the hinge point and the center of mass. So I about O I want to calculate. Okay, I about the center is mr square by 2. Let's shift. It will be 3 by 2 mr square. And here we will have mg into h. This distance is r. R will get cancelled out, M will get cancelled out. Square root 3 by 2 should come. Yes. Fourth option is your correct answer. I hope the concept is clear. Direct formula putting. Let's move. So here we have a PN junction. Okay. And we need to figure out that when it is forward or reverse bias, then which type of process is going to dominate. Okay. So when a PN junction is formed over here, then due to concentration difference, the electrons, they go from this side to that side. This process is called as diffusion, occurring due to the concentration difference. Okay. Eventually, a depletion layer is going to form over here, and the depletion layer over here the direction of the electric field will come like this, and as soon as any electron hole pair came into existence inside the depletion layer, because of this electric field, they are going to move apart. Okay, so if there's an electron over here, it's going to be thrown on this side. This is your drift process. Okay. When there's no voltage, when there's no biasing, eventually the diffusion current and the drift current will come into equilibrium. Okay, and there will be no net exchange happening. But as soon as we will apply a apply this diode in the forward biasing, it means that if I apply a battery like this, okay, then what is going to happen is diffusion will increase dramatically, okay, and the current will increase due to the diffusion property. So in the diffusion, in the forward bias, the diffusion process is dominating, and the reverse will happen, the reverse bias. In the reverse bias, diffusion contribution will drop significantly, whereas the drift part will start increasing. Okay, but the value of the drift is not stronger in the reverse bias condition, right? Hence over here you can see the options: diffusion in forward and drift in reverse. Second option is your right answer. Okay, I hope the concept is clear. Let's move ahead. Okay, so we have two isolated north pole. Let's call them magnetic charge. This is also plus M1. This is another magnetic charge plus M2. Distance between them is R. Okay. And somewhere will be the neutral point. So both will be generating the magnetic field. The neutral point will exist, let's say, somewhere over here. Okay. And if this distance is x, which I need to calculate, then the remaining distance will be 30 minus x. All right. Here we are going to use the formula for magnetic field, which is somewhat similar to the electric field in nature. So it's going to be mu naught by 4 pi multiplied by the charge, which is m, divided by distance square. Now because this is a neutral point, so B1 and B2 in the magnitude should be equal. Constants will get cancelled out from both sides. Here we have the charge M1, which is the bigger charge. Let's put 16. And here we have 30 minus x whole square. There we have the smaller charge. The distance is this much. Okay. Let's do the calculation here. Take the square root both sides. 2 divided by 30 minus x is equal to 1 by x. 2x is 30 minus x, which will give you x equal to 10. Units 10 centimeter, right? So second option will be your right answer. I hope this is clear. Let's move on to our next question. So this question is from the semiconductor chapter. Let's try to understand the circuit diagram. Okay. Here on the top we have a battery or a point of a potential 12 volt. Then there are two diodes. One is silicon diode and another one is the green LED diode. Okay, they both are in parallel. And at the bottom here, V0 value we need to calculate. Resistor is 2.2 kilo ohm and this is the grounding. Okay. First, let us see these two particular values, 0.7 and 2.2 volt. Okay. Now understand this concept. Current want to take the path of least resistance, or the path on which the voltage drop is least. Over here, the voltage drop is 0.7, which is the less compared to other one. So current will try to take up this path over here like this. Okay. Hence, if there is a drop of 0.7, then from 12, how much this value will be? 12 minus 0.7 value will be 11.3 volt. Okay. Hence, the value of the V naught will be 11.3 and the current will not go from that path, or you can say that this LED will be in the off state. The LED will not glow because the current is not passing over there. Okay. So yeah, first option will be your correct answer. Okay. Let's go ahead and see another question. 4 statements are given and we need to find which statement is correct. Let's read one by one. The electric line of force, they are just imaginary lines. Perfectly correct concept. No issue, very simple. Electric line of force will be parallel to the surface of conductor. No. Electric field lines, they are always perpendicular to the surface of conductor. B is a false statement. If the line of force are crowded, then field is strong. Yes. Imagine a situation like this. Here crowding is more, so we can say that here the electric field is also stronger. C is correct. A was also correct. What about D? Electric line of force are closed loops. So for electrostatics electric field, it is not closed loop. Okay, it will never close. For induced electric field, it may form closed loop, but if nothing is mentioned whether the field is induced field or which type of field, by default we will assume that these are electrostatic field and they are open, they are not closed. Okay, so D is also a false statement. A and C, first option is your correct answer. Okay, let's go ahead to our next question. Okay, so 2 identical particles are there. Capital M is the mass, D is the distance. They are released from each other. Because of gravitational attraction, they will be attracted towards each other. They will gain some kinetic energy. Okay, alright. And speed of each particle when the separation reduces to half of the initial value. Okay, so when the particle will be somewhere like this, the distance will reduce to d by 2. This will acquire a speed v, this will acquire a speed v. Okay, identical speed v because the mass is also same. Alright, let us write down conservation of mechanical energy. In my initial drawing, initial I need to write down that will be g into m square divided by the distance d. Okay, initially both were at rest. Finally, the distance became d by 2, hence g m square divided by d by 2, so that 2 will come over here, plus final kinetic. The kinetic energy due to one particle is half mv square, but because there are 2 particles involved, I will multiply it by 2. Okay. Now let's see. This term will come on this side, and after solving, it will be gm square by d. On that side, 2 to cancel. It's just mv square. M will also get cancelled out, and v will come out to be as root gm by d. That is our first option. Okay. Let's go ahead to our next question. Okay. There is a particle, mass is given 2 kg, and its displacement variation is in terms of time. I want to calculate the work done by the net force in the duration of 3 seconds. Okay. So, and as soon as I see this work done they are asking, okay, my first thought coming in my mind is use work energy theorem, that work done by all the forces, here only one force is acting, is equal to K final minus K initial. K final will be half m v square, K initial will be this thing. Okay. So what I am going to do is, let's differentiate this x. We'll get v is equal to 2 plus 2t minus 3t square. Okay. So initially at t equal to 0, what is my initial speed? 0, 0, 2. Initial speed is 2. And at t equal to 3, how much is the final speed? 2 as it is. 3 to the 6, 3 square 9, 3 the 27. Okay. So this is coming out to be as minus 19. All right. Let's put the values. For the work, mass is 2 kg. Mass I am going to put as 2 kg. Final speed square, minus 19 square, 361. U I am getting as 2. 2 ka square 4. 2 cancel. 361 minus 4 is 357 joule. Third option is correct. I hope concept is clear. Let's go ahead. All right. A question from thermodynamics. There is a P versus V graph given to us. There are two isotherms of temperature T1 and T2. The ratio of RMS speed, question is asking. Okay, T2 and T1 they are saying. Okay. Means I want to calculate V2 by V1. We know that RMS velocity is root over 3RT by, okay. And so there is a dependency on square root of temperature, root T2 by T1. From the graph, we'll try to calculate the temperature. Use PV equal to nRT. Temperature is proportional to product of P and V. Let's multiply P and V. Observe T2, observe this particular point. Okay, I hope this is clear. I'm talking about this point. This is 2, this is 2. Multiply P into V. 2 into 2 is 4. For T1, observe this point. 2 into 1 is 2. Root 2 by 1. Root 2 is to 1. That is second option is your right answer. Simple question. Let's move ahead. Haji. So there is a light ray of photons of energy 10.2 electron volt. They are falling on a metal surface. Work function is 1.2. So how much will be the Kmax? Kmax will be total energy 10.2 minus work function. That is 9 electron volt. Okay. And I want to calculate the minimum de Broglie wavelength of the electrons emitted. So we have a formula for that. Lambda is equal to 12.27 divided by root over of voltage. Okay, root over of the voltage, and this wavelength will come in angstrom, right? It's a very handy formula. Please, my suggestion, memorize this formula. Okay. This V, voltage, so we know that kinetic energy can be written as E into V. Okay. This is nothing but Q multiplied by V. So from here we will get V as 9. Put V equal to 9 over here. Root 9 is nothing but 3. So 3, 4, so something around 4 angstrom should be your answer. Option 1. Clear? Let's go ahead to our next question. Alright. So here we have a lens which is made up of air. Radius of curvature R1, R2, 10 centimeter is given. And outside medium is glass. Please note, outside medium is glass, inside is air. Focal length I need to calculate. Let's directly apply the lens maker formula. Okay, 1 by f is equal to. Here, I need to write down the refractive index of what? The refractive index of what is the inside medium, right? So that is 1. And what is on the outside medium? Outside medium is your glass. Outside medium will come over here. Minus 1 times 1 by R1 minus of 1 by R2. So I am using the sign convention. I hope everyone is clear about the sign convention, right? Okay. This is 1 by f is equal to 1.5, you can write down 3 by 2. So this is 2 by 3 minus 1. 2 by 3 minus 1 is this thing. And here we will have 2 by 10. So we are getting f as minus 15. F minus 15 means what? In our regular case, for a concave, focal length is over here, right? Focus is here, and we take f negative. So this assembly is kind of acting like a concave, okay, or a diverging lens. All right. So nature of lens is diverging. We are calling it concave, and magnitude is 15 centimeter. I hope it's correct. Yes. Let's go ahead. All right. So here we have 4 drawings, and we need to figure out what is what. Let's directly jump into this thing. So the first one is basically our normal diode, which is connected in the forward junction, and the second one is a typical IV characteristic of for a reverse diode. So for the reverse, we take a Zener diode in the as a reverse diode. So this is for the Zener, right? Okay. This drawing here says that resistance intensity connection is there. All right. So it must be some light dependent resistance, and this is for the solar cell. This is for the solar cell. Let's see. The first one is simple diode. Yeah. Zener diode, solar cell, and the fourth one, last one, is your light dependent resistance. So we can say third option is our correct answer, right? Let's go ahead. Next. This is from alternating current. There is a circuit consisting of a capacitor and a resistor. Resistance is 220 ohm. Okay. They both are connected in series, yeah. And one AC voltage is also there. Peak value of V0 is given as 220 root 2 volt. Fine. So we know that the formula of V0 is equal to I0 into Z, where Z is the total impedance of the circuit, right? V0 is given to me, I0 is also given to me. If I'll substitute here, I'm going to get the value of Z as not 1. I'm sorry, I'm going to get the value as 220. So Z will be equal to basically V0 by I0. Okay. So after putting the V0 value, I'm going to get 220 root 2 ohms. That's the value of Z which I'm going to get. Okay. All right. And I also know that what is Z? Z is equal to square root of R square plus XC square. Substitute Z 220 root 2. R is 220. So from here, XC will also come out to be as 220 ohm. Let's see the phasor diagram. This is I and this is VR. This is XC and VC. This is my net voltage due to the source. Okay. Both XC and R, they are equal. Hence this angle is 45 degree. Right? And that's what we are trying to calculate. Okay. So here the current is leading by 45 degree. So your second option is going to be your answer. Okay. Let's move on to our next question. So there are two masses M1 and M2. Imagine a pulley. M1 is here and M2 is here. M1 moves downward. So because of M1G, it's going downward with some acceleration A. And here M2G is acting. It's going with upward acceleration A. Tension T is same in both the strings. Okay. And I want to find this acceleration A. So acceleration A, here the driving force is M1G. I can directly use a bigger force minus the smaller force. Bigger force minus smaller force divided by the total mass of the system, which is M1 plus M2. Okay. Now to calculate this acceleration, question is also given that if the displacement is S, we can find the value of acceleration. Displacement is 4, acceleration is A, time is 2 square. So we can calculate that the acceleration is 2 meter per second square. Let's put that acceleration over here. So A, I am going to write down 2. I want to find m1 by m2. Let's say this m1 by m2 is x. Divide both equations in the numerator and denominator, divide by m2. So m1 by m2 is x, m2 by m2 is 1. Here also x, and here it is 1 into g. Let's put g equal to 10. So this will be 2 5s are cross multiply, x plus 1 equal to 5x minus 5. Hence you will get x equal to 6 divided by 4, 3 by 2. Okay, let's see. Yeah, 3 by 2 is there. Fourth option is your correct answer. Okay, I hope this is right. Let's go ahead to our next question. So this is an RC circuit assembly. I need to find how much is the energy stored in the capacitor. When nothing is mentioned, I will assume they are talking about steady state. After a very long time, the capacitor will be fully charged. No current will flow through them. Hence, this branch will not conduct any electricity. So the current will come from here and it will pass on like this. Now look at this branch. This branch and this branch, they are connected in parallel, and both are connected to 12 volt again in parallel. All three branches are in parallel. If all three branches are parallel, it means that 12 volt is going to divide in this 4 ohm and 2 ohm in the same ratio of resistance. So what is the potential drop here? The value 4 divided by the sum 4 plus 2 multiply by 12. Okay, so this value is equal to 8 volt, and obviously over here the value will come out to be as 4 volt. Similarly, this 12 will be divided in 3 ohm and 9 ohm in the same ratio. So here this is 3 divided by 3 plus 9 into 12, coming out to be 3 volt, and if here it is 3 volt, here it will be 9 volt. Okay. Now let us suppose this point is grounded. This is 0 volt. This point will also be 0. There is a drop of 4. It means this point will get a value of 4. From 0, there is a drop of 9. This point will get a value of 9. So between these 2 points, if I want to calculate how much is the potential difference, delta V, I have to write as 9 minus 4 equal to 5 volt. Okay. Now I will come to calculation of the energy stored inside the capacitor. So that is half CV square, half CV square. The value of C is 6 micros and delta V is 5. So this is going to be 75. Micro will as it is come, and it will be 75 microjoule. Okay. So 75, the first one will be your correct answer. Okay. Let's go ahead with this question. All right. So this is a question full of fluid mechanics, where there is a body over here, and this body is kind of trapped between these liquids. So what is happening here? Basically, mg is acting in the downward direction, whereas the buoyant force B1 and the buoyant force B2. So buoyant force B1 and the buoyant force B2, they both are acting in the upward direction. Or let's write down BA and BB, okay, due to A and due to B. So mg should be equal to buoyant force due to A and the buoyant force due to B, right? Now listen very carefully how we are going to put all the values. First of all, mass of the body. For the mass of the body, I am going to use the density of the body. Where is the density of the body? Here is the density of the body. So here I am going to write down density multiplied by volume. Volume means A times the total height. The total height is h, which is unknown, plus HA and HB. Where are HA and HB? HA, HB, 1.2 and 0.8, okay, times G is equal to, now let's focus on the buoyancy. Buoyancy, here we need to use the density of liquid A. Where is the density of liquid A? This is the density of liquid A. So 0.7 multiplied by the volume, which is A times HA. HA value is 1.2 plus, okay, into G is also there. Then for the buoyancy B, density of B is how much? 1.2 here. Multiply by area and multiply by the height of the HB. So this portion is 0.8 into G. I hope all the values I have written here correctly. Okay. So very simple now. Just do the calculation and get the value of H, and hopefully your second option will be your right answer. Okay. Let's go ahead to our next question. All right. So there are two parallel wires which are carrying the equal currents. Okay. And let us say this is your X direction, this is your Y direction. Okay. This point is X equal to plus A. This point is X equal to minus A. Okay. So in this particular plane where Z is 0, there is a wire which is parallel to Y, there is another wire parallel to Y. Let's say here the current is going in the upward direction. Let's say here the current is going in the downward direction. Okay, currents are in opposite direction. I need to calculate the magnetic field B1 at this point. This distance is A. This distance is also A. Due to this current, magnetic field is going into the page at this point. Due to this current, magnetic field is going again into the page. Hence, the contribution is going to add up. If the contribution is going to add up, I have to write down B1 as contribution from this wire, mu naught I divided by 2 pi, and the distance is A, plus contribution from this wire which is identical. So let's just multiply this by 2. This is B1. Now let's check our another point. Okay, another point is over here, which is again distance A from this particular wire, and because of this current the magnetic field is coming out. Because of this current, magnetic field is going in, hence the contribution are going to subtract. Let's see. Now due to this, I am going to write down, it's at a distance of A, I am going to write down here mu naught I upon 2 pi A, because the distance is A. And for the other wire, there is a negative sign. I am going to introduce mu naught I divided by 2 pi. Let's see how much is this distance. A. 3 is the total distance. Please don't do this type of geometrical mistake because traps are there. Okay, do the calculation carefully and take out 2 pi A common. Okay, and here you will get this thing as 2 by 3. What question is asking is to calculate the ratio B1 and B2. So B1 divide by B2, let's divide them. This value divided by this. 2 will get cancelled out and you will get 3 by 1. But why there is a negative sign in the option? Let's also think about it. So effectively B1 was something which was going into the page. Okay, the direction was into the page. But B2, because this term is bigger term coming from over here, hence the overall B2 is going out of the page. Direction is opposite. Because of that, a negative sign will appear over here because of the direction. First option is your correct answer. Okay. Let's go ahead to our next question. So this is a question from projectile motion. This is x-axis, y-axis. Projectile is going like this. Over here the speed is 20 meter per second. Angle is equal to 45 degree. Here h function is given to us, ax minus bx square. Okay. Achha, look at this coordinate and this coordinate. these are the two coordinates where y coordinate is 0, or you can say height is 0. There are 2 points where height is 0. Let's put this h is equal to 0 in this. So what you are going to get? Let me resolve it like this. From here, I am getting two coordinates. One is x equal to 0 and x equal to a by b. Where is x equal to 0? And where is x equal to a by b? Can I say this a by b is nothing but range? Yes, I can say that. What is the formula for the range? Okay, a by b is same as range. What is the formula for range? U square into sine of 2 theta, means 2 into 45 is 90, divided by g. 400 divided by 10 will be 40. So 40 is going to be your range. Question is asking me calculate the ratio A to B, means directly range it is asking. So option 4 is going to be my correct answer. Okay. All right. Let's go to our next question. So the question is saying that there's a material for which the Poisson's ratio is 0.5, right? So what is all this thing? Imagine there is a cylinder. Radius is r, length is l, okay? And now imagine I am stretching it. If I stretch it, what will happen? Length will increase, new length will come L dash, and what will happen to the radius? The radius will decrease, right? But in this, from going here to here, what will remain same? Density of this material will not change. Mass of the material will not change. It means that volume will be constant. If volume is constant, then how much will be the change in the volume? It's going to be 0, direct answer. Okay, very simple question. Let's go ahead. Our next one. So the question says that there's an air bubble at a depth of h. Imagine a container. Imagine a bubble over here. Okay. The bubble is at a height of h. If pressure inside the bubble, let me change the color. Inside the bubble, how much is the pressure? 3 times that of P naught. Inside the bubble, we have 3 P naught. And where P naught is my atmospheric pressure. Can I say that outside the bubble, it will be P naught plus rho GH? Outside the bubble, it will be P naught plus rho GH, right? And because of this air bubble, due to curvature, the surface tension effect will come. So we know that excess pressure is going to be equal to 2T by R, where R is the radius of this thing. What is delta P? Subtract both of them. This value minus that value. You will get 2P naught minus rho GH. I want to calculate R, radius of the bubble, cross multiply, and let's see. The fourth option is the perfect fit. Alright student, let's move on to our next question. So there is a uniform rod in here. There is a uniform rod in here like this. And the length of the rod is 1 meter, means it is 100 centimeter. And it is kept on the table. So there is a table like this. It's kept on a table, okay? And the masses are also given. So if this is the midpoint of the rod, then 100 G is acting over here. And there's another body which is hanged at the end point. Here this is 5G. So this point is acting like a pivot. Let's say this distance is something x which I want to calculate. So how much will be this distance? If total is 100, then this is 50 centimeter. Hence this is going to be 50 minus x. Alright. Now I'm going to apply torque equilibrium condition, rotational equilibrium. So torque balance, torque of this and torque of this about this pivot is going to be stabilize each other. Okay. So here I'm going to write down force multiplied by distance, and over there force multiplied by distance. Okay. So x is coming out 100 into 100 into 50 and then divided by 105, which is 20 multiplied by 50 divided by 21. Okay. Now I need to find almost exact answer. So I am going to use some approximation method. Listen very carefully. Imagine instead of 21, this is 20. What will happen? 20 and 20 will get cancelled out and I will get an approximated value of 50. But since denominator is actual 21, denominator is actually slightly higher, so overall value will be slightly lower. It means that my answer will be slightly lower than 50. Let's look for the option. The closest answer lower than 50 but and also nearer to 50 is this value. Okay. So without doing actual calculation, I am directly saying that 47.6 is going to be the correct answer. Okay. You can use calculator and find it out the correct answer. Let's move ahead. So we need to identify that out of these two which are true and which is false. The first statement. In a harmonic progressive wave, it means our normal traveling wave like that. Okay. So all the particles within the half wavelength, so they are talking about this particular region. So what is happening? This point wants to go down. Okay. And this point wants to go that side. So amplitude for all the point is going to be capital A, but the phases are different. Okay, the phases are different for all these points. So statement 1 is a true statement. What about statement number 2? What is happening in the stationary wave? So in the stationary wave, if this is a node, this is also a node, then between these two nodes, all these particles, they are going simultaneously to their extreme and then coming horizontally and then again going down. So all of it is happening simultaneously. So amplitude is different for all these points. Okay. But they are going simultaneously, right? Let's see. So in a stationary wave, all the particles between the two nodes, they have the same phase. Okay. They have the same phase but have different amplitude. They have different amplitude. So your statement 2 is a correct answer. Both the statements are correct. Option 1 is going to be our correct answer. Let's move on to our next question. So there is an electrostatic potential in a charged spherical region of radius r which varies like this. I want to find out what is the total charge in this sphere of unit radius. Okay, let's see. We know that minus dV is equal to E dot dr vector, right? It means that electric field is negative of minus dV by dr. So let us try to differentiate this particular equation. After differentiation, I am going to get here minus 3a r square. What is the significance of this negative sign? Let's try to understand. Okay. So as the r is increasing in this equation, as the r increases, v is also increasing. It means that as I am going outside, the potential is increasing. And we know that electric field lines, they always directed towards higher potential to lower potential. It means that the electric field lines are directed radially inward like this, from higher potential to lower potential. That is the meaning of this negative sign. Okay. It also means that the charge over here is negative in nature because electric field lines are directed inward, hence the charge is in the negative side. Alright, now I want to calculate the magnitude of that charge. To calculate the magnitude of that charge, go at a distance of r, imagine this Gaussian surface and write down electric field multiplied by the curved surface area, that is equal to Q enclosed by epsilon naught. Electric field is 3a r square. This is 4 pi r square. Epsilon naught you can cross multiply to get the value of Q enclosed. Okay. Question is saying regarding a unit radius. So let us put r equal to 1. So as soon as you will put r equal to 1 in this equation, you are going to get 12 as a factor. Okay. And the value of alpha, this value will come out to be as minus 12. Minus sign means it's a negative charge. I hope the question is clear. Let's move on to our next question. So here we have an angle, here we have a prism. The prism angle over here is 30 degree. This side we have silvered out. Okay. Now I want to find out at which angle should the light be incident. So that after the light is reflected from the mirror, it retraces its path. It means that this light inside the prism should fall at 90 degree at the silver surface, then only it will retrace the path. Okay, and it will retrace the path and will come out like this. So maybe light is entering like this and going inside like that and then retracing the path. This is the normal. If this is 90, this is 30, this has to be 60. If this is 60, this has to be 30, and this is the angle I which I want to calculate. So let us try to write down the Snell's law. Here we can write down 1 into sine I equal to mu, which is root 2 into sine of 30 degree. So from here we'll get the value of I as 45 degree. Okay, so first option is your correct answer, right? So that's the end of the paper. I hope you guys have done well. Thank you so much.
Hello my dear students, welcome to the session. Let us discuss about NEET Grand Test 3 chemistry solutions. And this paper is moderate and at the level of NEET standards. Let's see the question number 1. Which separation technique is employed to obtain different fraction from crude oil in petroleum industry? In petroleum industry, petroleum is getting separated from the crude oil. So, collection of mixture of alkanes are separated in the petroleum products. The mixture of alkanes has very less difference in their boiling point. When the boiling point value is very less in difference, it is prescribed to use fractional distillation technique. So, the answer for this question is going to be 2 is the correct answer. Moving ahead, this is a assertion reasoning type question. It is said that for heterogeneous equilibrium, ammonium hydrogen sulfide solid NH3 gas plus H2S gas at equilibrium, the magnitude of the equilibrium constant Kp depends on equilibrium partial pressure of ammonia and H2S, but not on the amount of NH4 HS present in it, because it is a solid. So it's a true statement. The reason is, in heterogeneous equilibria, the activity of pure solid remains constant. So that is the appropriate reason. So for this question, both assertion and reason are the correct, and a reason is the correct explanation of assertion. Option 1 is the correct answer for this question. This is the question from Bohr's atomic model. The radius ratio of the first orbit of hydrogen, second orbit of helium and third orbit of lithium 2 plus is. So the radius of a particular shell is directly proportional to n square by z. So it is said that first orbit of hydrogen 1 square by 1 is 2. Second orbit of helium 2 square by 2 is 2. Third orbit of lithium 3 square by 3, which comes to be 1 is to 2 is to 3. So the option for this question is going to be option 1 is the correct answer for this question. Moving ahead, it is also assertion reasoning type question, and assertion, it is said that a very small percentage of alpha particles were deflected when passed through the gold foil. Yes, according to alpha ray scattering experiment. Most of the alpha particles are penetrated through the gold foil without any deflection, but very a few are deflected either with a large angle or very small angle. That is true. And the reason positively charged alpha particles are repelled by the nucleus of an atom because the nucleus has a positive charge. So reason is also true. So for this question, both assertion and reason are the correct answer, and reason is the correct explanation of the assertion. Moving ahead, here it is a compound it is given, and when this compound is treated with NaOH plus I2, it is a iodoform reaction and followed by acid workout. Iodoform reaction is specific for methyl ketones, so you simply break it here and you write the entire compound as CH3, CH3 and double bond CH and CH2 and COO minus followed by acid workout. You are going to get CH3 and CH3 double bond CH and CH2 and COOH. This is the product. A is option 1 is the correct answer for this question. Students, this is the question from GOC and is asking about the stability of carbocation. So carbocation stability is governed by positive mesomeric effect or governed by negative positive inductive effect. Mesomeric effect is always stronger than inductive effect. So if you see the given carbocations, so the double lone pair of electron present on the OH group has stronger positive mesomeric effect. So positive resonance effect. It is more stable, and here it is also positive mesomeric effect, and it is also hyperconjugation. Positive inductive effect, it is also having hyperconjugation, the positive inductive effect. And it is a primary carbocation, it is a tertiary carbocation. I would like to say B is greater than D is greater than A is greater than C. It is going to be option 2 is the correct answer for this question. Here it is a one more assertion reasoning type question, children. It is asking about statement 1 S1 and statement 2. So statement 1 says dynamic equilibrium can be attained in both physical and chemical processes. It's a well established fact. But you can see at equilibrium the forward and reverse reactions stop completely. So equilibrium is always dynamic in nature, so it never stops. It looks as if it is stopped. But this is an absolutely wrong. So statement 1 is correct, statement 2 is wrong. Students, this question is asking about a rate of a reaction. For a reaction 3A gives rise XB, and dB by dt is found to be 2/3 of dA by dB. Then the value of X is going to be. So you can write here rate is equal to minus 1/3 dA by dt is equal to plus 1 by X dB by dt, and given that dB by dt is found to be 2/3 of this, so dB by dt is found to be 2/3 of dA by dt. I want to say X 1 dB by dt is equal to X by 3 is equal of dA by dt. So this X by 3 is equal to 2 by 3. X by 3 is equal to 2 by 3. So I could say X is equal to 2. So my answer for this question is going to be option 2 is the correct answer for this question. As NaCl is dissociated to Na plus and Cl minus, I value is going to be, assume it is a completely ionized. So delta Tf is equal to I Kf into molality. Let us talk about delta TF, I value is set to be 2 into 1.86 into 0.1 molal. On doing so, you are going to get 0.372. So that is the delta TF value. Freezing point of water is going to be 0. So this is going to be 0 minus 0.372 is going to be negative 0.372 degrees centigrade. Option 1 is the correct answer for this question. It is a question from P block elements for the group 13 elements. The order boron, gallium, aluminum, indium, thallium. If you look into the atomic properties in the NCERT textbook, atomic size is say boron, aluminum and gallium. Okay, you can say there is a sudden increase in the atomic size. There is a sudden increase in the atomic size from here to here because of the vacant d orbitals. Then you can say indium and thallium. Indium and thallium. So I would like to say the boron less than gallium less than aluminum, it comes in the atomic radius order according to the NCERT. Option 2 is going to be the correct answer for this question. Students, this question is based on salt analysis, qualitative analysis. The cation detected by K2HgI4. K2HgI4 is said to be Nessler's reagent. Nessler's reagent is a reagent is used to detect ammonium ion. Any ammonium ion salt when it is added with Nessler's reagent is going to give a reddish brown precipitate. It is a confirmatory test for ammonia. Option 3 is the correct answer for this question. Students, this question is based on the quantum numbers and from atomic structure. You can see correct statement for the element with atomic number 9. It's a fluorine. So if it is atomic number 9, it is going to be 1s2, 2s2, 2px, py, pz. You can 2, 2, 1 you can say. So we have to find out the correct statements. There can be 5 electrons in which ms is going to be plus 1 by 2 and 4 electrons for ms is going to be minus 1 by 2. So there are 4 electrons over here, 5 electrons over here. So 4 electrons are going to be minus 1 by 2, 5 electrons are going to be plus 1 by 2. Clockwise plus 1 by 2, anti-clockwise negative 1 by 2. It is a correct statement. There are 2 electrons in the 3s orbital. So there is no 3s electrons. And the last electron goes to the orbital n is equal to 2, l is equal to 1, n is equal to 2 and the p orbital, it is going to be l is equal to 1. It is a correct statement. The sum of angular nodes for all the atomic orbital is going to be 1. So which is not actually correct. And the answer for this is going to be A and C are the correct answers. So option 2 is the correct answer for this question. Students, this is a GOC cum alkanes related question. It is asking about 2 statements, statement 1 and statement 2. Statement 1 says the reaction chlorination of methane in sunlight is a substitution reaction. So CH4 plus Cl2 in the presence of sunlight, you're going to get one of the hydrogen is replaced with one chlorine. It is a substitution reaction followed by its free radical substitution reaction. So it is given that it carbocation intermediate, which is not correct. It is a free radical chlorination, famous reaction. So statement 1 is correct, statement 2 is incorrect. Students, it is a question from periodic table. Across the period 2, the atomic radius decreases regularly from lithium to fluorine. Of course, it is true. And sequence correctly represents the increasing order of atomic radius. So, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine. And this is correct. It is shown that lithium is less, wrong. Fluorine is greater. Lithium, beryllium, boron, nitrogen, carbon, fluorine, oxygen. Oxygen is shown small, not correct. So like that, this sequence is going to be absolutely phenomenal correct. It is the answer 1 is the correct answer for this question. Students, this question is about match the following. In the list 1, molecules are given and the list 2, properties are given. When you look at this nitrogen to nitrogen, a strong triple bond is there. It costs about 946 kilojoule per mole. So it is a strong, highest enthalpy of atomization. So I want to say A matches with 3. And the fluorine, of course, it's a strongest oxidizing agent in the periodic table. Oxygen, according to molecular orbital theory, it is a paramagnetic in nature, and ozone, it is having a bent structure like this. So I would like to say A with 4, B with oxidation, A with 3, B with 4, and C with 1, and D with 2, and the answer for this question is going to be 4. Option 4 is the correct answer for this question. Students, this question is based on the simple mole calculation. If p grams of carbon present in contain n atoms, so number of moles of carbon is going to be p upon 12, which contain n number of atoms. And how many sulfur atoms will be present in 3p grams of sulfur? So moles of sulfur is going to be 3p by 32. That should be equated with n number of atoms. So atoms in 3p grams, atoms in 3p grams of sulfur is equal to 9 by 8 times of 9. So the answer is going to be option 1 is the correct answer for this question. Again, this is a question from statement 1 and statement 2. Statement 1 says chlorine has a lesser negative electron gain enthalpy than the fluorine, and helium has the highest first ionization enthalpy in the periodic table, and chlorine has a lesser negative electron gain enthalpy than fluorine. Wrong. Negative electron gain enthalpy, chlorine is highest than the fluorine. So it is wrong, and helium is the first ionization enthalpy, highest for the entire periodic table. True. Option 4 is the correct. Statement 1 is false, statement 1 is true. Here is a question from P block elements. It is given again statement 1. In group 15, the tendency to exhibit -3 oxidation state increases down the group. As metallic nature increases down the group, tendency to show negative oxidation state decreases. Therefore, option statement 1 is wrong. And second, statement 2, size and metallic character increases down the group. It's a phenomenal, and it is going to be true. So statement 1 is incorrect, statement 2 is correct. Reduction of 3 hexane, we can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. So this is a 3 hexane, and it is treated with Lindlar's catalyst, and it is going to be sodium, it is going to be PD, BaSO4, and it is quinoline. It undergoes syn hydrogenation. It is a controlled hydrogenation. You are going to get a cis alkene. So it is a syn addition. So cis 3 hexene is formed. Option 3 is going to be the correct answer for this question. Students, this is about the shapes of the molecule. Given that, observe the following molecules: PCl5, BRF5, CLF5, PF5. ClF3 and XeF4, XeF2, IF5. The number of molecule having a square pyramidal geometry. PCl5, it is going to be trigonal bipyramidal. BRF5, it is going to be square pyramidal. ClF5, square pyramidal. And PF5, it is like a TGBP. And ClF3, T shape, ClF3, it is going to be a T shape. And XeF4, it is a square planar. And XeF2, linear. And IF4, square pyramidal geometry. I could find there are 3 molecules that shows the square pyramidal geometry. Option 3 is the correct answer for this question. Students, this question is direct application of galvanic cell and Nernst equation. The EMF of the galvanic cell is, so to calculate the EMF, direct formula you can use it, E naught cell minus 0.0591 by 2 log anode by cathode. Here it is going to be zinc is going to be anode and copper is going to be cathode. Here it is given that the difference between these two, E naught cell is equal to E naught of cathode minus E naught of anode. It is going to be plus 34 value, it is given minus 0.76 comes to be positive 1.1. That is 1.1 minus 0.06 by 2. Because 2 electrons are involved, 0.0591 you can take as 0.06 and the log 0.1 by 0.1. So log 1 is equal to 0. So it is going to be 1.1. The answer for this question is going to be option 1 is the correct answer for this question. Students, this question is from coal-based electrolysis. The question is asking the volume of ethane liberated at STP when aqueous solution of 8.2 grams of sodium ethanoate undergo coal-based electrolysis. So sodium ethanoate CH3COONA 2 moles on electrolysis, it is going to give rise C2H6 plus NaOH plus CO2. Now you can see 2 mole of this can give rise 1 mole of this. So number of moles of sodium ethanoate is going to be 8.2 grams upon molecular weight is 82 is going to be 0.1. So 2 moles of this can give 1 mole of this. So you are going to have 1.1 mole of this. So you are going to see 0.1 by 2 mole of ethane is formed. Volume of ethane is going to be 0.1 by 2 into 22.4. So it is going to be option 4, 1.12 liter at STP you are going to get it. Students, it's a direct question from thermodynamics. It is given irreversible expansion against constant pressure, work depends on. So work done is going to be for irreversible process is minus P external and change in the volume. So it is depend on external pressure and in the change in the volume. Option 4 is the correct answer for this question. It is a direct question from application of molecular orbital theory. The following species cannot exist. If the bond order is calculated by number of electrons in bonding molecular orbital minus number of electrons in anti-bonding molecular orbital by 2. If bond order is 0, the molecule do not exist. If you take helium 2, it is going to be 4 electrons. It is going to be sigma 1s2, sigma star 1s2. So bond order calculated 2 minus 2 by 2 is going to be 0. Such cases, these molecules never exist. Students, is a question from cane sugar, that is C12H22O11, and it is treated with H plus and H2O. Inversion of sugar takes place, C6H12O6. So glucose and fructose both are isomers. What is the final product of reduction of the above glucose? So it said that it is in the glucose. You take the glucose, when you take HI is in red phosphorus is going to be a strong reducing agent, you are going to get N-hexane. So the answer for this option 4 is the correct answer for this question. Students, this question is based on the salt analysis, qualitative analysis. In the group analysis, barium and calcium 2 plus are present and they are precipitated as group 5 cations. Group 5 cations are precipitated when you add ammonium chloride and then ammonium hydroxide, then ammonium carbonate is added. So they are going to precipitate as both calcium carbonate as precipitated or barium carbonate. So the answer for this question as both are precipitated as carbonates. Option 3 is the correct answer for this question. Here it is again statement based question. Statement 1, benzene is more stable than cyclohexatriene. So benzene is having a more delocalized pi electron system. So I just want to say, due to delocalization of these pi electrons, it is going to be extraordinarily stable. Though it has 3 bonds, it never behave like an alkane. So both statement 1 and statement 2 are correct, and the answer for this question is 1. Here it is a question from preparation of alkyl halides. Look at this, the best preferable reagent for the conversion of an alcohol into pure alkyl chloride. So alcohol can be converted into alkyl chloride, but I prefer thionyl chloride SOCl2 because it gives rise RCl plus SO2 and HCl. So the byproducts are going to be expelled out of this container. So recovery of the alkyl chloride is going to be the best suitable method, and the answer C is the correct answer for this question. Here it is the question based on the P block elements, and select the correct set of group 14 elements corresponding to the following properties. They form most acidic dioxide. This is all given in this group 14 only, and it is commonly found in positive 2 oxidation state used as a semiconductor. I just want to go with the answer is going to be here option 3, carbon, lead, silicon and germanium is the correct. Commonly found in +2 oxidation state, forms an acidic oxide and used as a semiconductor. So these are all the properties related to group 14 elements. Answer 3 is the correct answer for this question. Students, according to Planck quantum theory, the radiation, about the radiation, which of the following statement is correct? According to Planck's theory, energy is absorbed or emitted not continuously but in discontinuous energy packets called quanta. So energy is emitted, absorbed in discrete packets called quanta. It's a phenomenal. Option 2 is the correct answer for this question. Students, the question is asking about empirical formula and molecular formula. Which of the following is not an empirical formula? Empirical formula is the simplest ratio of the different elements present in the molecule. If you take 1:2, it is an empirical formula. 3:6 can also be written as 1:2. So it cannot be empirical formula. You can say 2:6:1, it is the simplest ratio, and 1:1 is the simplest ratio. So option 2 is not an empirical formula. Option 2 is not an empirical formula. This question is asking about the magnetic moment D and F block elements. The highest magnetic moment is shown by the transition metal ion in the outer electron configuration. magnetic moment nu is equal to root over n into n plus 2 Bohr magneton, where n is equal to number of unpaired electrons. If n value increases, magnetic moment is going to be increased. If you say 3 d 5, you will be having 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. N is equal to 5. Highest magnetic moment is n is equal to 5. Highest magnetic moment is shown by 3d5. Students, this question, the number of isomers possible, PTEN NO2 twice. So let's talk about whenever you have a bidentate ligand, you are going to expect a linkage isomer. So let us say PTEN, PT, that is EN, NO2 and NO2. PT, it is going to be EN, NO2 and ONO. And it is going to be PT, EN and ONO and ONO. I could get total 3 possible isomers for this square planar complex. Students, it is a simple question, looks complicated question from the aldol condensation. When the above molecule undergo intramolecular aldol condensation, it is given. So when it undergo intramolecular aldol condensation, so enols formed by ketone is more stable than aldehyde. So that this is going to be form an anion with treatment with sodium hydroxide. So it forms a stable enolate and it is going to attack in this. So if you could able to number this, you will understand. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now let us take this. Carbon atom number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is going to form a ring and it is going to be O minus and it is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and this fifth carbon is going to have this structure. So it forms enolate here and it gives you hydrolysis and later on it is on heating. This structure like this. The answer for this question is going to be option 2 is the option 3 is going to be the correct answer for this question. Option 3 is going to be the correct answer for this question. And the octahedral complex FeF6, the correct arrangement for the d electrons according to the crystal field splitting energy. So you are going to have FeF6 3 minus, you are going to have F3 plus ion. It is going to have D5 configuration. In this D5 configuration, because of this it is a weak field ligand, the electrons are filled according to the Hund's rule. So D5 configuration I just want to show you like this. T, 2, G and EG. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and you can say T2, G3 and EG2. So the answer for this question is going to be 3 is the answer. Students, this question is asking about 1 gram mixture of NaHCO3 and Na2CO3 is heated at 150 degrees centigrade. Na2CO3 do not decompose, NaHCO3 only decomposes. NaHCO3 on decomposition gives rise Na2CO3 plus CO2 plus H2O. So 2 mole of this can decompose to gives rise 1 mole of this. 2 mole of NaHCO3 can decompose to gives rise 1 mole of CO2. Number of moles of CO2 is equal to 1120 milliliter. So 112 upon 22400. You are going to get 5 into 10 raise negative 3 mole So number of moles of NaHCO3. Number of moles of NaHCO3 is going to be 2 into 5 into 10 raised negative 3. So from there, number of moles is equal to weight by molecular weight. From there we can calculate weight of NaHCO3 comes to be 0.84, and it is a 1 gram mixture. So that weight of Na2CO3 is going to be 1 minus 0.84 is comes to be 0.16, and the mass percentage is going to be Na2CO3 is going to be 0.16 upon 1 into 100 is going to be 16% is the correct answer for this. Option 4 is the correct answer for this question. Students, it's a direct question from ReNEET equation. So ReNEET equation, it is given as a K is equal to A exponent minus negative A by RT. You can say ln A is equal to ln K is equal to ln A negative EA by R into 1 by T. You take a graph between ln K and 1 by T, you are going to get a straight line, and this straight line gives rise a slope is going to be negative EA by R. Okay, the answer for this question is going to be option 4 is the correct answer for this question. Students, here is the question, which of the following has the highest rate of esterification? The rate of esterification is directly proportional in these alcohols is greater than phenols is and enols. So if you say highest is for this is your alcohol, this is phenol, enol, and this is your phenol. My answer for this question is going to be 3. Students, let us consider the given statements about the lanthanoids. Look at this statement 1, statement 2, statement 3. Which of the above statements are asking about the correct? The basic strength of lanthanide hydroxide decreases due to lanthanide contraction from lanthanum hydroxide to lutetium hydroxide is a correct statement. And due to lanthanide contraction, the ionic radii of successive Ln3, Ln stands here lanthanide element, decreases gradually across the series. It is a phenomenal according to lanthanoid contraction. And the E0 value for cerium 4 plus to cerium 3 plus is plus 1.74, which suggests that cerium 4 plus can be easily reduced to cerium 3 plus. So cerium plus 4 plus is going good oxidizing agent. Correct statement. So statement 1, 2, 3 are the correct. This question is from D and F block elements, is very famous question. Option 4 is the correct answer. Students, here is a question asking about oxidation and reducing agents. So which of the following can oxidizing as well as reducing agent? Ammonia is a good reducing agent, it can be never be an oxidizing agent. And HNO3 is an oxidizing agent, it cannot be in reducing agent because nitrogen is highest oxidation state. Here nitrogen is in the lowest oxidation state. Sulfur shows plus 4 oxidation state, it can be an oxidizing agent and reducing agent. And HNO2, nitrogen is in plus 3 oxidation state, it can be an oxidizing agent and reducing agent. So my answer for this question is going to be only C and D. An element in its lowest oxidation state can be a reducing agent, highest oxidation state compound is going to be oxidizing agent, and intermediate can undergo both oxidation as well as reducing. So it is a direct question asking about the first order rate reaction, and first order reaction has the rate constant 2.23 into 2.303 into 10 raised negative 3. The time required for 40 grams of this of the reactant reduced to 10 grams. So let's talk about K is equal to 2.303 by K. log A naught upon AT. So it is T. T is equal to 2.303 by K log A naught by AT. So 2.303 by K is given as 2.303 into 10 raised negative 3 log initially 40 is taken and 10. So it is going to be 2.303 into negative 3 log 4, and log 4 is going to be 0.6, and putting so you are going to get 602 seconds. Option 1 is the correct answer for this question. And the question is asking about specific conductivity of the solution. Increases with dilution, decreases with dilution, remain unchanged with dilution, depends on the mass of the electrolyte. Specific conductivity is the conductivity of 1 cm cube electrolyte. If you dilute it, the number of ions in the given volume of the electrolyte is decreased. So conductivity decreased. Option 2 is going to be the correct answer for this question. Students, this question is asking about increasing order of strength of hydrogen bonds in the following linkages. Strength of hydrogen bond is directly proportional to electronegativity. So fluorine forms a stronger hydrogen bonding than oxygen, then nitrogen. So based on this, I would like to say option 2 is going to be the correct answer. R, and then S, then P, then last Q. It all depends on the game changer is going to be electronegativity. Students, this question given below, assertion and reason. Both rhombic and monoclinic sulfur exist as S8 while oxygen exists as O2. O2, oxygen is a small atom and oxygen can make p pi multiple bonds, while sulfur cannot make p pi multiple bonds. That is true. And oxygen double bond is weaker as compared to sulfur single bond. So which is absolutely wrong. Double bond is stronger, single bond is weaker. So I would like to say A is correct or is not correct. Option 3 is going to be the correct answer for this question. Students, this question is asking about redox reactions. So in the redox reaction, SO4 minus plus F2 gives rise F minus and S2O8 2 minus. The element undergoing reduction and oxidation respectively. F2 is converted into F minus. So 0 oxidation state minus 1 oxidation state. This process is called reduction process. And SO4 2 minus, oxygen shows here minus 2 oxidation state. You are going to get S2O8 2 minus. If you check this, negative oxidation states are seen. Oxygen shows negative 2 oxidation state, here negative 1 oxidation state. So negative 2 to negative 1 is increase in the oxidation number. It's an oxidation process. So fluorine get reduced, oxygen get oxidized. So fluorine and oxygen, option 3 is the correct answer for this question. So children, with this we completed GT discussion number 3 and we'll see you with more GT papers. All the best. Thank you.